Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. We are back now with Jessica Van Antwerp again. She's the owner of her own company and a retreat leader as well. She's from Boulder, Colorado, but helping people all over the world with her retreats. I'll have her say hello and introduce herself. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Jill. Good morning, and good morning to everyone out there listening. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Yeah, as Jill mentioned, I own a company called Integral Travel.
Mm-hmm.
We specialize in resources and retreats for personal and planetary wellness. So immersive experiences designed to just recharge you, rejuvenate you, refresh you, all the RE things, um, to enable you to take on your life in a more, joyful and resourced way.
Perfect. And just to point out your website as well, so people can know how to contact you right away. Integral Travel, that's INTEGRALTRAVEL.com. And would you mind discussing a little bit about what a retreat company is, what you offer, and then we'll get to whatever it is today that you would like to share with everyone.
Sure. Yeah. Retreats are a little bit different from a vacation. It is time away from work, time spent out of your normal routine in a destination. It could even be a local destination. But the idea behind a retreat, as opposed to a vacation, is that you're engaging in activities that are meant to, like I said in the beginning, recharge you. So wellness activities, and they often and should incorporate some reflective activities so that you can get a little perspective on your life. It's easy to, when you step out of your routine, to get that perspective, to kind of say, okay, what is working for me in my life and in my routine, and what is not working for me. And then we, as the retreat facilitators, then teach you tools that you can then take back into your daily life, to allow yourself to be resourced on a daily basis. Whereas, vacations it's easy to just sort of like tune out when you go on a vacation. You go to this destination and you get super distracted by all the things to do and all the things to see, and you don't really engage in any of that reflective activity. So it doesn't really provide you a perspective and an opportunity to change your life in beneficial and healthy ways.
Great. And I know you have some upcoming retreats. Do you want to share what's happening? And then what did you want to discuss today in particular about your company and why it's so beneficial?
Okay, well, let me start at the beginning.
Sure,
It's a
sure.
lot of questions right in a row. So we do have some retreats coming up. There's one to Hawaii this fall. There's one to Thailand next March. Both of those are week-long retreats. We are still building out the 2023 calendar. So if you're listening to this after either of these retreats, then feel free to check the website to see what's on the calendar. But we do also offer as little as 3 and 4 day immersive experiences. And most recently, we've actually been developing some 3 and 4 hour mini retreats, we're calling them. And we just had one this past weekend that was so magical. It was in conjunction with the full moon. So one of the tenets we like to bring into all of our retreats is connecting with nature, and sort of reconnecting with nature and tuning into the rhythms of nature, and then how we might be able to harmonize with them, to sync our lives with them, in order to just be in a little bit more flow with what nature is trying to tell us to do. Because after all, we are nature ourselves. We are part of nature. But in our modern lives, we often become disconnected from that. So anyway, back to this little mini retreat we had on Sunday. We were celebrating the full moon. And this was a women's only retreat, which isn't something that we have done before. It was a first of its kind event. But because specifically we were working with Qigong, which is like mindful movement. Think of Tai Chi. So it allows you to soften, to slow your body down, to slow your breath down, and just feel spaciousness and feel your relationship to the space around you, which isn't something that we often do. And then I had a colleague of mine here in Boulder who teaches sensual embodied dance, and this was why it was for women only. And sensual embodied dance is a practice for women to get back in touch with their sensual being, and to even touch into maybe some deeply held trauma in the body, which is
Mm-hmm.
something that I've experienced in a couple of these workshops and classes. And then to just sort of reprogram our relationship to ourselves, and feel our own touch on our skin, and start to move in these authentic ways, and really celebrate what it means to be a sensual and even sometimes sexual woman. So that was really amazing. And there, I mean, in this 3-4 hour experience, we so the full moon energy that we were celebrating is like, it's like the fullness of the cycle of the whole
Mm-hmm.
lunar cycle, going from new to full moon, and all the phases in between. And so we were then celebrating the fullness of what we each individually had brought into creation in this last month, and then also using it as an opportunity to let go of anything that wasn't serving us. And so in this 3 and 4 hour experience, there were tears, there were laughter, there
Ah,
was joy. It was just so amazing, and I was just right. I've been riding the high ever since then. It was a few days ago, but that feeling really sticks with you. I know how easy it is to set aside time to connect with yourself, or to skip setting aside time to connect with yourself, because there's so many things for us to take care of in this modern life. We have laundry to do. Some of us have children to feed, dogs to take care of, work responsibilities, house responsibilities, errands to run. It's just this never ending to do list. And so, unless you specifically set aside this time and you say, okay, all that other stuff can wait, like, I'm the only one that's
yeah.
stressing myself out about getting it done.
Yeah.
And just setting aside, even like I said, 3 or 4 hours to just tune into what your heart is saying and what your spirit is asking for. And sometimes it's just a break. Like, that's all we really need sometimes, is just a break from all of that doing and going, and attending to all the other things other than ourselves. And so what we offer is an opportunity to kind of tune back into yourself,
Yeah.
and touch back into what your spirit is really asking for.
Oh, wonderful. And a lot of people say, they don't have the time, they don't, but you got to make the time, right?
Exactly, you have to
And
make it.
the benefits really outweigh you sitting home doing nothing.
Right. Exactly. Like I said, I've just been like riding the high all week. I've just been in a good mood. Like, nothing's bothering me. Everything, like, I'm just kind of handling things. Of course, I still have an endless to-do list, but I'm just sort of like, okay, one thing at a time. And so just that 3 or 4 hours on Sunday it was just magical. And again, the benefits, like you said, just like permeate into the rest of your life. So
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah.
Really is. And in particular, for today's show, did you have anything that you wanted to discuss, in particular about your work, your services, or any tips for our listeners about meditation and retreats?
Well, I would say, like going off of what we were just talking about in terms of making the time,
Hmm.
um, it is a concentrated, a thing that you have to block out the time, and maybe you block it out in your calendar. And even if you just lay there and take a nap, you've at least, taken a break from your to-do list. But for those of you who do struggle with setting aside that time, and trust me, I'm one of those people too. I'm a professional in this field, but I'm also a business owner, and so I know how much there is to do all the time. And so having an accountability partner, I think, is what I'm getting at, is can be very helpful. So I do offer some one-on-one coaching services to sort of help people develop those rhythms and rituals, and kind of thread them into their daily lives. And even if it's not something that you feel like you can set aside time on a daily basis for, then maybe setting aside time once a month for like a mini retreat, something like we did the other day, or once a year to go on a week long, like fully immersive retreat to really recharge you for that year. So, like I said, I do offer those one-on-one health coaching and spiritual coaching services. So if you want more information about that, check out the website, integraltravel.com. And that can be a really great way just to have, I know that I'm very oriented towards accountability to another
Hmm.
person. So if there's another person being like, "Did you do your homework this week?" Like wagging the finger, I'm much more likely to get it done rather than just telling myself like, "Oh, I'm going to get it done, and here it is on my to-do list." But then it's easy to skip over if there's if there's not someone to answer to. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And just for those who may not know you, when you show up each and every week, just a little bit about your background, what brought you here, particularly to do this, what inspired you?
Well, I really was just looking for a way to help people in a more tangible way. I had been a bartender and people were, gushing their life stories and all their troubles at me. And all I could really do was like listen and empathize. But I wanted to help them again in a more tangible way. And don't get me wrong, like listening is a really valuable, um, it's just a really valuable thing.
Yeah,
I think a lot of times people don't listen,
yeah.
and we feel not listened to because we can tell the other person is either just waiting for their turn to speak or wanting to switch the subject back to them and say, oh well, my experience with that, and they're trying to relate to your experience but by talking about themselves rather than helping you go deeper into your experience. And so in my search for a more tangible way to help people, I was exploring becoming a yoga teacher. I was exploring massage therapy school and grad school for transpersonal psychology. And massage school was just the thing that like opened wide up for me. It was just the door that was like, come over here. And so I went to I found a school that I wanted to go to, that was more kind of energetically based and honoring the spirit that occupies our body, um, than just a mechanical sort of medical approach to massage, like this muscle does this and this muscle does this. And to treat the muscle, you do this. It's like, no, what's really going on with the person behind these muscles that's causing the muscles to behave in the way that they are. So I found the school I wanted to go to and I went to sit in on a class, and it was a part-time program. They would run 5-day modules Wednesdays through Sundays once a month for an entire year. They were in the fourth month of their program. It was the first day of the fourth month of their program. It was a Wednesday. And I went to sit on the class, and I ended up spending all day there. And I convinced the director of the school that she should let me join late. She was like, "Well, our next program starts in a year," and I was like, "No, I don't want to wait."
Hmm.
And I was only working 2 days a week at the time, and so I told her that I would spend the other 5 days as if school was my full-time job and catch up on those first 3 months of work. And so she had never let anyone in the program that late before, and she hasn't since, actually, and that was 13 years ago. But I followed through. She let me. She just, she was convinced, and I followed through, and I was caught up with the rest of the class within that first month, and have been a massage therapist ever since. I never actually imagined that I would spend 13 years in this career and with no end in sight. And it's just been more fulfilling than I could have possibly imagined. And I went from being a bartender where nothing is good enough, nothing is fast enough, there's always people like wanting something from you, and to a job where my clients are so grateful for the time that we spend together and the work that I do with them. So it just fills my heart every single day getting to go to work and see my clients. And from there, it was just massage was just sort of a gateway. I got introduced to so many different disciplines and methods and modalities in school, different ways of healing, different layers of the being, that I've just continued my education ever since then. And so I did end up also getting certified to teach yoga. I dove into a practice of qigong and started teaching qigong. I went back into the classroom as a TA to teach massage, therefore deepening my own learning and my own understanding of human anatomy and functional movement. And I continued studying Chinese medicine and shiatsu, and just really have built over, more than this over a decade in the field, have sort of built out this deep understanding of all of the layers of the being, of not only what's happening in the physical body, but what's happening in our minds that might be causing our physical symptoms, or what's happening emotionally that might be influencing our physical symptoms, or even spiritually. And so really working with people on multiple levels to help them really get at the root of what's going on in their bodies and minds and spirits, rather than just sort of treating the symptom. And when I started teaching, I really had this vision that I wanted to travel and teach, because being a private practitioner in any field like acupuncture, any sort of doctor, dentist, massage therapy, you're sort of tied to your location. And now, especially since the pandemic, there's just been this huge movement in the professional world of being location independent and working remotely. And that's not something that a lot of us can do in these hands-on sort of healing arts. So when I started teaching, I had this vision that I really wanted to travel and teach. And in 2017, well, from the period of like 2014 to 2017, was in conversation with a bunch of different people about either becoming a partner in their businesses, whether it was the shiatsu program that I was helping to build, or massage school where I was teaching. And then there was a colleague here in Boulder, Colorado, who had a Thai massage training program. She was a Thai massage teacher at the big massage school here in town. And she would run trips over to Thailand. And eventually she started going to different places around the world, but teaching people Thai massage in these immersive formats. And I really was fascinated. I wanted in. And at one point she asked me if I wanted to buy her business. And I was like, yeah. And was talking to a yoga teacher friend of mine at the time about purchasing the business. And for one reason or another, I don't remember what it was, but it sort of fell through. And that was probably around 2015. And then so I was just focusing on the massage school part of things at that time, and she had found another buyer, someone on the ground in Thailand that was one of her local contacts. And but we were, I was again focused on our shiatsu program, and we were building this 500-hour nationally certified training program, and we needed other professionals in the field to evaluate the program for us. So I approached her as a colleague to see if she would evaluate our program. And just in our conversation, sort of catching up, she was like, "Oh, by the way, that buyer backed out. And would you be interested in buying the business again?"
Wow.
So like 2 years later, it comes back full circle. And my whole being was just like, yep. In that, like, I didn't even have to think about it. Didn't even ask her how much she wanted.
Wow.
And so I bought the business. And I ran a program. I had a business partner for that first year and a half, probably. And we ran a Thai training program in Thailand on the ground. And oh man, what a learning curve it was. I like almost everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And in the aftermath of it, my business partner decided that she wanted to go in a different direction. And I decided that I wanted to rebrand and sort of reevaluate what it was that we were offering, because, training in a specific bodywork massage hands-on modality is such a narrow niche, and I wanted to help more people. So, but I know that what we offer in those programs is like a healing journey in and of itself. So I decided I wanted to do something for the broader public and just help teach people how to take care of these bodies. We spend our whole lives in these bodies, but like no one really tells us what to do when we're sick, other than, oh, here, take this pill. Oh, here, and it's a pill for everything, and the pharmaceutical industry is raking in billions of dollars in profits every
Yeah.
single year, getting you hooked on medicines that you're going to have to take for the rest of your life, because in actuality, they're not treating the root cause of what's going on. They're covering up the symptom. And that to me is just like the biggest racket. I mean, I don't know how those people sleep at night. So my goal is to teach people how to care for themselves, how to keep themselves well
Yep.
is the goal. And then when we do get sick, then what we can do for ourselves using nature, plants and even just movement and actually nature, spending time outside in order to help ourselves heal
Yeah.
from whatever it is that we're dealing with. So that's my
Wow.
passion in this whole healing arts world.
Clearly. And do you have any stories that you want to share about your client experiences, what they've gained out of this, how you've, helped people clearly through what you do?
Yeah. A couple of people stand out from our retreats in the past. One woman was able to kick her addiction to opiates on one of our retreats. Now, we don't specifically offer like addiction
Yeah.
recovery programs, though that is something I'm curious about getting into in the future. But we were able to help her sort of manage that addiction and slowly step away from it. And part of that was even just discovering a passion that for life and for the healing arts and this natural medicine that she didn't know that she had, and so she was able to just find something else to replace it. And another woman who came on a retreat 3 years ago, she was coming in super depleted of energy, unable to, everyone in her family asking her to do stuff, and she had very poor boundaries. She would feel guilty if she said no, so she never said no. She said yes to everybody, and she was taking care of everybody else before herself. So she came on a 4-day retreat, and through the weekend's activities, she was able to more deeply understand how everything that she was doing, the movement that she was getting, the food that she was eating, the mindfulness exercises that she was or was not doing, as the case was, uh, affected the way that she felt in her life.
Hmm.
And so she was able to take some of those tools and take them back into her daily life. And even now, I'm still in touch with her, and she has better boundaries with her family. She's able to say no more when she knows that she's depleted and doesn't have anything to give. And then she more consciously sets aside the time to take care of herself and then do the things that fill her up, so that she then can go back and give more to her family. And she's still eating better than she was before that retreat. So it's
Wow.
they're life-changing experiences.
Now, is this mostly for individuals? Do couples do this together? And what's the age too? No children, right? Is it adults
Yeah.
only? Just curious.
We It's mostly adults, mostly people, 40 and over,
Hmm.
who are looking to gain some knowledge about, how to take better care of themselves, on every level, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. However, that being said, on our upcoming Thailand retreat, we do have a couple of kids coming. We have a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old, and their parents rather, have assured me that they are exceptional kids. And so, like during our yoga practice, they may not participate, but they will be sitting in the side quietly and not disturbing us.
Hmm.
But yeah, generally, these are kid-free events.
Awesome. That's the way I like it. But
Yeah.
so 40 and older. Okay, great. And
Yeah.
do you do like couples retreats as well? I just love that movie, and it dawned on me. Do you remember that movie, Couples Retreat?
No. Oh, with Jennifer
Vince
Aniston and
Vaughn.
Adam Oh,
Yeah. It was so
no.
funny, but it was a couples retreat, how they're trying to rekindle love and stuff. But
Oh, nice. I love Vince
yeah,
Vaughn.
specifically. So nothing specifically for couples that okay.
Not yet. I mean, one of those is in the works also. I had this idea of like going to the Hawaiian Islands and then like splitting, but it would be multiple couples at a time, like
Yeah.
splitting up the women and the men and sort of doing this like opposite yin yang journey around the islands until everybody comes back together at the end. And then the couples like do their little coupley thing
That's
for a
just like
couple
the
of days.
movie. You got to watch Couples Retreat. Yes, you got to
Okay.
Google it later.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Oh my
So we
goodness.
do have couples come on our retreats, but again, we haven't yet developed anything specifically for couples. But there's lots of stuff on the horizon. I was talking to my graphic designer yesterday, who was also sort of helping me like business mastermind, and we were talking about even just custom retreats, private retreats for whatever, whether it's one person or a couple or a family of four. That I could certainly do something like that, and moving into the realm of, as I mentioned earlier, sort of like addiction recovery retreats, and working with professional therapists in that field, bringing them on board to help support that process. And so there's lots of stuff that is in the ideation phase, but just needs
Oh
to be
my
brought down
goodness.
into reality. So.
Thank you so much. Wow. And we still have a few minutes left. What else did you want to share for people out there who's interested in your services?
Reach out, find us on Facebook and Instagram. We're integral.travel. There's lots of helpful information and health and wellness tips on a daily basis. And I'm constantly, putting out more stuff with my marketing team, and we'd just love to connect with you. This business, I feel like people thrive in one-on-one connections and interpersonal connections, and that's one of the things that was so refreshing too about the little mini retreat we had the other day. It was just like, oh yeah, in-person connection with other people, who like-minded people who are on their own journeys and of self-discovery and overcoming their struggles and obstacles. And I just want you all to know that you're not in it alone. Nobody's perfect. We all have our traumas, we all have our hurts, we all have the things that we're trying to change, and we can help each other, we can support each other,
Wow.
and that you're incredibly beautiful just the way that you are.
Oh, that is beautiful. The positivity, the energy that surrounds it. And let's again mention the upcoming retreat in Hawaii.
Hawaii, October 20th through
Hmm.
26th, 2022. And then we have Thailand coming up in March of 2023. That's March, I think, 25th through April 1st. And then more stuff is in development all the time.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. If we want to reach out to you, would you mind sharing the best forms of contact?
Yeah, you can email me at hello@integraltravel.com if you want to, like I said, connect one-on-one. And then I also have, you can DM me on Facebook, or reach out to Integral Travel on Instagram. And yeah, and I'm always happy to connect one-on-one. And integraltravel.com
Perfect.
to sign up for the newsletter, and then to get information pushed directly to your inbox.
Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time as always. And thank you for occupying and joining our space today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me,
Have a
Jill.
great day. And to all of our
You
listeners,
too.
stay tuned and get out there, take that retreat, sign up for Hawaii. If I didn't have kids,
Yeah.
I would, because I'm over 40. Thank you so much.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.